Welcome back to The Grind. Today we're going to talk about glory farming. As a free-to-play player, as some of you may know I am, I was able to get 1.6 million glory in this last Atlas season. This is the first season I've had Atlas. I actually started about 3 to 4 weeks before this season started, which helped give me some time to build troops. But this video, I just wanted to go through some of the tips and strategies that I use to earn glory and maximize my troop use. And I just wanted to show off my animated portrait a little bit, which I was very excited to earn this Atlas season. So here it is. I got just over 1.6 million glory. I was able to complete the offensive rider line, which I was very happy to reach at the last week there. And I haven't had any time to level him up yet, but I'm looking forward to finding a dragon for him and getting some glory earned on him. And here's my progress with the Primarchs. I know this video is a bit longer than usual, so bear with me. There's a lot of important information to discuss, but I think it will be very helpful for you if you're able to finish the video. Well, now that I've shown you that it's possible to get 1.6 million glory and finish a line in Atlas as a free-to-play player, I wanted to quickly go over how. So really briefly, we're going to talk about troop training. We're going to talk about some things to avoid and some glitches that I've experienced, discuss how to get the best glory you can from an attack, which is 1.5 times the amount of troops you lose. And then we'll review my personal strategy for attacking in Atlas. We won't be talking about glory swapping, which is trading with players, because it's not as beneficial as far as troop use. And you can just find a swap chat room if that's how you want to do it to save time. So the first major point to discuss is constantly training troops. Obviously you need troops to earn glory, and so anytime you have the hats filled up here as I do, you want to make sure you're training troops. And I think that if you don't have the gold to do it, or you can't keep up, or you're short at that time, I do think that it's worth spending diamonds in order to use the hats to train new troops as often as possible, because diamonds you get pretty easily, and the earning troops and keeping that troop count up is invaluable. So I do that every time I can, and yes, I'll spend the diamonds to do that. And during troop training events, again, I'll do that every time the hats are filled, but after doing that, if I have the bullhorns, and sometimes even if I don't, I will revive a full set of either 4,000 or all the way to 8,000. That's partly because during the troop training event is over the weekend. That's when I focus most of my glory farming, because that's when I want to revive troops and make more troops to keep my troop count up. And that also therefore earns me a lot of points in the troop training event, which will give me more diamonds to sort of sustain this process. So some things to remember when doing an attack in Atlas to avoid losing troops unnecessarily is you want to try to attack a player's Primarch that has just arrived at that castle. Because if you start an attack right before somebody kills that Primarch, you're going to waste all your time in that attack just to realize that there was no troops left and you earn nothing. And then you'll come out of the attack and realize that while you were in that attack, somebody killed you and you lost all your troops. Another thing that can happen if you're too slow while attacking is somebody will attack you after you started attacking, and even if that person had troops still, they'll clear out all your troops. You'll end up having like 50 troops left, so when you complete the attack, you only got 50 troops worth of glory from it. So some ways to avoid that is, which we'll show you in the strategy later, is to find a Primarch that has just arrived or has a lot of troops, and be as quick as you can when doing your attacks. And also what's beneficial is on your base, when you're doing, especially when you're doing Atlas attacks, you want to put a tower of some sort, like I put a mage back here, so that anyone who attacks you, they have to take a long time to fly through the entire base, so they're not just blowing up your base really quickly while you're flying around through another person's base trying to clear it. That way you'll lose less troops, which was very frustrating for me when I first started. Another thing that I learned while farming glory is there is a glitch where if you go to, for example, Allegheny here where I do all my farming, and you do an attack and you kill off all your troops, you get good glory, that's great, that's really exciting. And then you go back to your home here and you resummon that Primarch again in the same slot, and then fill it with a bunch of troops. If somebody attacked you while you were over here before, attacking that other Primarch, even though you killed off all your troops and resummoned and put troops on, if somebody was in the middle of doing an attack during that time, the troops that you put back on your Primarch will be destroyed when that person finishes their attack, even if your Primarch is still sitting here in the safe zone. So you have to be very careful about that, about not resummoning too soon or using the same Primarch. So next we'll talk about how do you decide who to attack. Now there was some mention of some reworking of the Primarchs and how they worked, but I've heard that now they're putting that off for now and they have no date of when they're going to do that. So basically it's just based on you want your attack rating to be higher than the defense rating of the other Primarch. So as you can see here, even with the Trapper, 63 attack, and this Sieger has 58 attack, or defense, sorry. So if you use that, you want to make sure your attack's higher. You can get really good returns if you complete the attack with one dragon. As you can see, most of these I'm getting to 1.5 times or close to it, but most of them are greater than the amount of troops that I lose. I get more glory out of it. Obviously, sometimes I mess up and get less. So now how do you execute actually doing an attack and gaining glory? I put my home right next to Allegheny, and I'll have my Primarchs there loaded with usually 2,000 to 3,000 or 4,000 troops. Sometimes it depends on the target I'm going to attack. I use this search function here, and you can customize it to whatever you want to look for. And then you just kind of sit there over Allegheny and you look for a target. And it does take some waiting sometimes, but oftentimes you'll get some right away. So now we see a target here with the Trapper, level 13 with 7,500 troops. So we go into attack, move your Primarch over, remember the name of the alliance they're in, and you go find them in the tab, and you look at it and see, I see his defense rating is 342, and that's actually higher than my attack rating for my Sieger, and I'll show you that here. So my attack power is only 320, so that would mean I would get poor glory for completing that attack, even if I 100% the base with one dragon. So I'm going to move back to the safe zone and wait for another target to come. So now I found another target, a silver one, level 2 Trapper with a bunch of troops. So I'm going to carry over my Sieger and move him to the Allegheny, and then I will open up the tab, find the alliance, and then I see that his defense power is 320. Preferably you don't want it to be the same, you want the defense to be less. So we'll get slightly less glory here, but we're going to do the attack anyways for the sake of this video. And I completed the base with one dragon, yay me, that I got about 1.4 times the amount of glory that I did for the lost troops. So that's basically it. So I'll just repeat this process over and over again as much time as I have. But I like to check in every once in a while just to see if there's a juicy target sitting there waiting for me throughout the day. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions.